Greetings, co-Lightworkers.
We are Kristin, Angie, Robyn, Ava, and Toma, a group of mediums, intuitives, and healers.
We are the 5 Lightworkers.
And we are here as guides and students amid this great awakening.
Welcome to our show.
We're going to see the truth of everything that has been happening. That's the key that's missing right now. That's the key that's missing globally right now for everybody is the truth. There are too many people divided and not understanding the depth of the lies that have been put upon us, that one person's struggle with drugs could be directly related to a lie that's been put upon their family from the whole global system being lied to from, you know what I mean? Like, in other words, people in poverty are in poverty because of why? It could be a systemic type of thing because of the way the financial system has been. So one person born in poverty is another person born in poverty is another person. And it's harder and harder for them to get out of it because of, systemic shit that doesn't allow them to rise up. And then there's other people who just once in a while tend to rise up here and there. Anyway, my point is that once the lie of the whole global system comes out and people see the truth, that's when everybody's going to be like, oh my God, have to get through it. We're going to have to help them. And then people are going to start seeing how beautiful everything is. Because once the truth comes in, like, you have to deal with it. But then what's after that? Then everything's true. Then everything is light.
Stop fighting. Yeah, we don't have to. It's like, the separation between the families. But
when people see the lies, they're going to be pissed. And then they're going to be like, wait a minute, I fell for this whole time. I mean, this is what I did. This is what I went through. Mm-hmm. I fell for this shit the whole time. I don't believe anything anymore, And then it's so to imagine having known that and then come out of it and be like, okay, well, now everything's going to be good. Now everything's going to be okay. And we can start working together and we can create this amazing world.
Suddenly the minions that are controlling everything turn into like little wee itty bitty runaway. Like they have no power.
Because our light is going to high vibrate so high beyond them that they can't walk down the street. Because then we're going to be like, oh, no.
It's a show. It's the Wizard of Oz. He's behind the curtain.
Mm-hmm. We're going to see the truth no matter what.
Yeah.
So something I wanted to ask about, because I've been thinking about this, is there an absolute truth? And then I thought about it a little bit longer because right now, everybody has their own truth. What's true to them? We all have different backgrounds, different frames of reference, different languages. Love might mean something to somebody and love means something else to somebody else. So we all have our own truth and perception. So in a very undefined way, it seems like truth is in line with clear vision. Thus, what's the opposite of that? Programming, like what we've been talking about. I keep hearing programming from what you guys are talking about. And so when the programming is cleared, and I think that's going to take a lot of, everybody has to be responsible for a lot of that themselves too, and that self-healing. But that's something I think about a lot because on one surface level, there seems to be a lot of polarity because somebody's truth is the absolute truth and another person's truth is the absolute truth. But there's like a grander perspective where I always see, like, imagine somebody's looking at a coin and they see a red side and then somebody sees a blue side. They're both painted on different colors. But then there's another sort of above that, it's purple, meaning it encompasses all of it. So there's like a grander unifying way of seeing how it makes sense. That's just my opinion that I am continually thinking about, because some things do feel very absolute to me. And I just see how everybody's running based on what their truth is. And is truth absolute, or is it not? And what's the antidote to it? And so is programming the thing that's the falsehood?
They're running a victimized program, or like, I don't know. You just made me think of something in my personal life. So a person's perception is different based on a trauma they've experienced, or they're carrying a program. So they're stuck in that program, and they until they heal that, they're going to just see it their way.
You just hit something, victimization. That was a big thing a mental shift just somewhere along the line. I was tired of hearing people justify certain things that I was trying to heal from. Like, oh, you're struggling with this? Well, it kind of makes sense because you went through that. And that can be easily misinterpreted as, I'm a victim of so-and-so, and so why should I even try? So we're responsible for our healing, and I don't want to come across as harsh, but you really sparked something.
I was gonna cut in for a second. So Ava, what you're talking about, it seems to me that you're looking, or they're looking out there for a causation, right? You're acting X, Y, and Z because A, B, C happened to you. And so they're looking for the link that ties the two, the cause and the effect together. But there's really no ways that you go and solve it. It's kind of like, well, we're looking, what had happened in your past to cause how you're feeling right now, but not so much, what are we going to do about it now, right? But then I'm thinking, didn't we all come into this, or any life, signing up for X, Y, and Z and ABC to happen in the first place, right? So we're backtracking to even a way more so in the past, the in between life situation, or whatever that situation is over there on the other side, right? So if we signed up that, okay, I'm going to have the ABC happen to me, and therefore this will stem with X, Y, and Z. I mean, didn't I put that on my own path? So don't you have to sort of rise a little above, right, the situation in order to see that, well, I guess I set it up for myself. But why did I set it up for myself, right? Now you're bringing a different causation as well, cause and effect. But you're looking at it from a very different angle, right? So there's a healing process involved in that. That's my
Which is, why am I carrying this? What was the lesson I was to learn from this?
Yes.
So,
when you realize the lesson, you go boom, and you just release. It's like, wow, it was the lesson. And you know what the lesson typically is? Self-love. I got to learn to love myself, because I will never be a victim again if I love myself. And I could equate that with raising children. And you said to me when I went to the lake, I was healing my inner child, and you were so right on. Because a mother wouldn't tolerate certain behaviors for their child, but they're in a relationship, as I was, and I was accepting substandard treatment because I didn't love myself. So I had to look at myself and go, I'm going to have to love myself. I love my children. I love my children unconditionally. I want the best for them. Why am I not accepting that for me? I am so worthy of that. That was my moment of self-love.
Somebody else told me a little while ago, if you only love yourself 30%, let's just give it a number, right? 30%, right? Somebody comes along who loves you 32%, and you're like, oh my God, they love me. They adore me. No, that's only love of 30%. They love you more than you love yourself. Is 32 enough? Just a number I'm throwing out, just a number, right?
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, I can't believe it. That you would think you're only worthy of 32% or 47, whatever the number is. But if they love you more, you're like, oh my God, I'm loved. But is this the love you deserve?
I grew up with an abusive brother who verbally, just threw the insults at me and all the 4 siblings under him. He traumatized every single one of us. But I had to, you have to get to that. And it's like, because of that, I couldn't speak. I moved to the city. I was a target for the men. Like, I wasn't ready to be in relationships. And I was an easy target because I didn't love myself, because I was put down my whole life. But then from there, you got to start building up and making the relation, like where it stemmed from. Well, no wonder. Because I dealt with a brother who had mental health issues that wasn't treated, and I invite these men that have mental health issues that haven't been treated properly to identify their own traumas. And they just lash it out back to me. So I remember saying, yeah, he's wounded. I could identify these men are wounded, and as I was climbing up and healing and putting myself, I had someone tell me, like, you're entitled because you can step out of the medical system and pay for your own health care. You must think you're all that. And I was like, whoa, like, shit. I went back to school. I had 2 kids. I worked my ass off. Because he didn't see me in 12 years and I got to here, he couldn't handle it. So he had to bring me back down.
You were a trigger because something in that person knew that you were really, really taking responsibility. And you also were breaking that generational trauma.
I did. Like we were... And you know what? And I rose above, and I didn't require the drugs and the alcohol. I didn't require the vices. I was treaded on, and I went back to school, and I took the long, hard route, which was hard on my daughters because financially it was a challenge. But when I got up there, it was so much better. So... But I took care of that. I did it without the help of their dad, and despite everything else. So I rose above without the vices. And he was a very talented bass guitarist. Very, very talented. And I would just say to him, you have gifts from God. Are you using them? Did you start recording yet? Are you putting your music out? He was an amazing writer, everything. The drugs and alcohol.
But here's where we go back to, when you believe you're a victim, you're a victim. Yeah. When you believe you're not a victim, you take full accountability for everything in your life, whatever comes out of your mouth, whatever you think, whatever you do, victims would say is happening to you.
Yeah.
So I think having that mentality of I am not a victim shapes everything else around you. Then you're not part of manipulation of other people, and you can see in them that they're victimizing their own selves. And then, you're sovereign in yourself because you're not playing the victim, because you have sovereignty and accountability, and you know what that means.
And so bringing it back to it's happening for you and not to you.
Yeah, I learned so much. Huge. And that's what Jesus always says whenever he comes through in a reading with Kristin. He says, but look, and there was a point where I was so sick and I was ready to leave. I was hanging on by a thread, but I kept going. And you learn, you have to hit that, and then you climb up and you go, wow, look at it's working. And my family will still go, should you be on a liver transplant list? It's like, it was never an option for me, but you just keep going. You just keep moving forward. When you're not the victim, you take it. You drag yourself behind. You take it and you move, and then you feel better. It's like, oh my God. And then that freaks them out when you keep going and you can smile every day, and you can be an example for your children or whatever.
Wow.
There's a difference.
So many chills.
Yeah.
So many chills.
And Jesus would say, but look at how much you learned. I learned so much about the medical stuff and food and cooking, and oh my God, it blows my mind,
At this point, it's really a gift that keeps on giving, isn't it? Because you give it to yourself, you give it to your family, and it sort of spreads from there.
And it took me closer and closer to the spiritual level. It was bringing that to me, where I'm hearing angels and I'm going to the beach because they told me to meet them there. And, and I have found this healer who explained the truth of the world. And then I could feel Jesus' energy around me. It's like, oh my God, Jesus is here. Like, oh, this was like, so that's an incredible, like, gift to have the divine working with you. And then I had a visitation from God in my, like, condo one night. It was like, wow, this is crazy. I felt like I was high. I had to hold the walls. I was like, like, the girls both called me on that night and they both thought I was high. They go, Mom, you sounded so crazy. I was like, I had this energy in my house. It was like so much. It was like overwhelming joy and love, like too much to comprehend. And I lost like 4 hours. It was so incredible.
What?
Oh yeah,
Wow.
I swear to God. So I confirmed it. I did a reading with Kristin once, say, okay, I had all these experiences. Who was this? Who was it? And it was God, all right. And I knew, there's no doubt about it. I couldn't, like, I had to like walk like this. And then I started, this is so crazy. I'm going to start writing this down. I took these notes and stuck them on the wall because I was in a euphoric feeling like something out of this world. So you can't experience that and then look at the rest of the world. Like, it's like, no. And my allergist just made me look at all the food labels on everything. And it's like, why do they put this bad oil? How come? That's why I'd start making my hydrogenated blah blah oil. I don't put that in my body. I got lazy because there's too many temptations here. And I lost my discipline. I'm not the victim. I just have to be able to say no. But anyway, like, I would never put so many things in my body because I knew. I got a little bit lazy, but I'll get back there. Jesus.
Well, imperfection is not the
I know it's not
perfection, right? Progress.
Right. Yeah. I took a break. From being very rigid, and it's a good break, and I learned a lot. But yeah, so that visitation, like, so many things. I have so many things. I walked past a woman once in front of HomeSense. She was about to give birth in 2 weeks. I walked past her, and that baby vibrated like, and I walked past her and it went away, and I go, holy crap, she's carrying like an ascended master or something. Wow. And I had to go approach her in the store again to see if that reaction was going to happen. It's like, whoa. I just said, I just have to tell you, you have a very blessed baby. When you do? She goes, in 2 weeks. I said, oh, you're going to be so happy. And the husband came up, and I felt like a weirdo, but I couldn't help it because the baby's vibration was like, whoa.
Wow.
I wanted to, cool. Like, I would love to have asked her, like, how was your pregnancy? Were you really happy? Because that baby is vibrating. So
and you never know. You may have just planted that seed where something, then she saw something in her child, and then got that validation from you. Yeah. I mean,
I got goosebumps all over my body.
Wow.
It was
That's cool.
Yeah,
that really. I mean, you speak with such conviction, and you've written above so much. It's like your spirit is unbreakable now.
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say to you. When you get to the point, it's like, I beat this health thing. Like, no one's taken me down. No one. And I'm not even afraid of death. Like, so I overcome all of that. Like, you have to face your death when you're at that level. It's like, it's a better place over there. I'm not afraid of death. So if I'm going, I will charge, if I have to. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
And nobody can ridicule me. It's just, I'm ahead of you, buddy. You'll get there one day. I got here because of my illness. It brought me to a higher level. So it was, like you said, Toma, it was a blessing. And there was a point on the couch where I turned my thoughts around and I said, oh my God, this didn't happen to me, it happened for me. Mm-hmm. So that I can rise above. I go, look what I've learned. I rattle off my liver enzymes, and doctors are like thinking, oh, she knows it all. But it's like, I get a printout of every medical exam I do, It's like, can I have a printout, please? Can I have a printout? I like my exams. Can you send me those x-rays? Can I have that MRI result? I have everything, a binder like this thick.
It's funny, Robyn, when you said that about it's happening to you, it brought me back to, so when I was 18, I had cancer, went through the chemotherapy, and then I went to work after that. And I really wanted to be a physical therapist. So I went to work in a physical therapy department while I went to school, but I ended up going to nursing school. But there was one lady that I worked with, and after it all happened, she just asked me this one question. She goes, why do you think that happened? And I was like, I was 19. I was like, oh, I don't know. And then she asked me that one question. I never stopped thinking about it, like ever. I never stopped. And then that was when I started on this path of knowing my truth and understanding that everything that I am going through, I am learning from.
Yes.
And that it's not happening to me. It's happening for you. So that I can learn.
So you did that at 19?
19.
Oh, see, you're way ahead of me.
But it was slow. I feel like it took forever.
It did, yeah. And that's what I was going to say to you, Ava. It's been a long process. Like, I've been dealing with it for 15 years. Now it's like, I'm almost, like I finally got it. It's like there was the allopathic medicine, but I didn't take too much of that. Like, I did the steroids that they asked me to, and I couldn't sleep for 3 years. I'll never do steroids again. And I did that because people were begging me, and I was like, I just had pressure, and I was like, all right, whatever. So then I went back, like I stopped with that nonsense, and then, it's just been a journey. But the naturopathic medicine got me to where I am today, or else I would have been so itchy. I wouldn't have survived it. I wouldn't be able to tolerate it if it wasn't for the naturopathic medicine. I wouldn't have been able to tolerate my symptoms, and I would have declined so much. But then there's another level of healing that'll get you to a point. But then there's there's the metaphysical stuff, which is where this shift happens.
Right.
Where you let go of the traumas and the fears and the programming, and you start believing and knowing what you are inside, and you heal yourself. So that's where I got to. So it cost me a lot of money to get to that, and it didn't even matter. Like, that to me doesn't matter at all. It's like, whatever, it'll come to me in some other way, but I was lucky enough that I could do it and experience, and I didn't stop. But then then the woo comes in. It's like I was saying earlier, the woo comes into your life at a certain point, and it's like, that's where the true healing is, because then you find out you're a strong being inside of this vessel, and you're connected. I was told when I was 20 that God is in your heart. When I was having a difficult time after my mom died, that always stuck with me. Oh, God's in my heart. And then I hear like we have an empty space in our heart or something. I go, oh, that must be where God's love is, So I don't know. I was given enough. My higher self told me enough things to keep me on, like, in the believing and awareness. But, just as I need to know to get me through.
Well, and that's like, as we heal, we get to another level within our own self, and then more stuff starts to come. And so it gets deeper and deeper. But like Toma was mentioning earlier, I forget how you said it, but it was like we hear the same information, but a different time, and it sticks in a different way. And so we kind of we take what we can handle in that moment.
Yeah.
And well, one, it's a hard pill to swallow, especially if you have not a physical pill, especially if you have been going through or dealt with some real traumatic things, to think, why in the HE double hockey sticks. Yes, I just said that. Oh my gosh. Yes. Over here.
You can swear.
I know. I just felt like
want me to swear for you?
90s kid over here.
You be cool, Ava.
Yeah.
Keep on doing it.
I'm very cool.
And if something slips out, just go and remove
Edit it.
We're keeping that HE double hockey sticks over here. Why would you set up something so horrible? And like you said, you have to really look at it from above. And I've always had a hard time, if I'm going through a traumatic thing, to really grasp it at that level. In hindsight, I can usually get to that point and see. But in the moment, it's like, okay, I just need to get through this moment. And I also think a lot of wounded people act out of, when I think, Robyn, you were talking about a family member. I think a lot of wounded people act out of unconsciousness.
Yeah.
They don't even think, and that's not an excuse, but I think.
No, but if you understand it.
There's a reason.
Right.
You can understand them better.
Truth.
Right.
Well, what if truth is consciousness?
Yes,
the more you become conscious. And it's a hard thing. Not everybody wants to hear, you set this up for yourself, or you're not a victim. But really, it's for the goal of empowerment. And, when I feel that the idea of victimhood is something that keeps you more, the idea, not being a victim, but like thinking you're a victim, keeps you more encased and comfortable in powerlessness. When you start realizing, nope, not a victim. I mean, yes, shitty things happen. This happened. It's not okay. I get to choose how I respond.
Yes.
And I'm going to be empowered in this, and so it really made me think about that. And it's, as y'all were talking, I'm like, oof, it is a hard pill to swallow, and people will get to that point when they're ready, and it's okay if they're not. And I sure as heck haven't, there's a lot of times I haven't been ready for that. And even things I still go through every day, it's like, am I ready to think about it like that? And I know that on some level, but maybe there's a era of, even if it's a day of processing.
That's where I look at the person and go, okay, they're running a program. So I detach the action from the person, and it takes away the emotionality. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, they're running a program. They got to figure out, they got to come along a bit. And then I don't have to react in such a way. It's like, okay, it's just a program. Oh, so I can hold space for that while they catch up to what their programming is.
Right.
It makes it a lot easier.
That's a great way to explain it to somebody else. That's so good. Like,
it works for me. That's what works.
It's both of what you, Angie, and Robyn were talking about. So I recognize there's some people in some parts of their life. I'm sure I was there, and I'm sure I will be there in all of us probably. We like being in that victim place, if you will, because it's comfortable for the moment being, right? Mm-hmm. For the time being. And that's okay. That's their life. I'm giving them their space. So as I'm doing this, I'm kind of like imagining this sort of, I would call it semi-permeable wall, sort of like, okay, my love goes out to you, but your stuff, not going to say that word, your stuff doesn't reach me. It's like, I can see you through the wall, if you will, right? Mm-hmm. It goes this way, but not back the other way, right? So you can vent as much as you want, because I see you're kind of comfortable being in this victim place, but I don't want it to reach me.
And I've been the victim. Like, I played that role too. Oh, I'm sick. Now I don't even like to say those words. I don't even really want to talk about my medical thing because I don't want to relive it. But if it helps somebody, I can share. But I really recontextualize. And the first healer, like Philip Young, who helped me, he taught me how to recontextualize your words. So you're not, but it took me like 4 years to really get it. Like, it took me 4 years of him telling me something to going, oh my God, I'm just focused on this. I got to change I'm healed, and to feel it too, you know. And so I started calling instead of sickness, I said, oh, my health journey, you know, because my healing journey, because I'm healing. So it's really hard. Oh boy, it's a tough one to get through. But I think that's why we're here to share. Everyone's had their experiences with it, you know.
Ava, it was your friend, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting, Rebecca Braxis, right? And something that she stuck with us, stuck with me for a while. I feel sad, but I'm not sad. You know how people will say, I'm sad today, or, you know, I'm pooped today, or whatever the situation. No, I'm not my emotion. I feel sad, and it almost like removes that emotion away from your body, and you're in it, you're experiencing it, but you're not it.
Yeah.
So that sort of stuck with me.
The power of I am.
Yes. Oh, yes. Change it to the positives.
My mantra is always, if I feel like I am feeling sick, if I feel that way in any way, I always automatically say, I am perfect health. I am perfect health. I am perfect health. I always say that.
You have to tell your body.
So I realized when I was probably in middle school that I can talk myself into being sick. I didn't want to go to school that one particular day because there was a quiz and I wasn't ready. So I lied to my mom, I don't feel very good. Well, what's wrong with you? I think I have a fever. And in my mind, I have a fever, I have a fever, I have a fever. And lo and behold, I had a fever.
Wow.
As in, later it came up as a fever. I talked myself into being sick, and I realized this is what I was doing in order to avoid school. It took me 30 years to realize, well, if I can talk myself into being sick, then why don't I talk myself into being healthy?
That's like, I always believed my body could heal itself. I watched it happen to not just me, but everybody else. Like, you cut yourself, you put a Band-Aid on it, and voila, in like a few days, it's gone. Like, your body heals itself. It's so amazing. So I used to think that too, like, okay, well, if I really believe my body can heal itself, then okay, my body can heal itself. It's all in how you think, what you believe.
They run a program where medical doctors and dentists are given authority over your health. It takes like a strength to break through that. Oh, I don't know anything. They're the authority.
Also, that's the challenge with diagnoses, because there's sometimes all of a sudden in desperation or whatever, you can take on a diagnosis, or it's put on you, but you know, we are responsible ultimately, but that can become your identity. So identity can be very powerful, and we can manifest a lot of things. But if it's, I have this and this is me, I am dealing with blah, 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 blah. And then over time, that becomes your normal, that becomes your identity. So that is really, really powerful, because it goes along with I am. And it's a challenge, and Kristin might have some things to say about this, because you work with people every day. And so how do you help people that have maybe a certain diagnosis or something, but without attaching to that? Or how often are people misdiagnosed, or is it even helpful to be diagnosed with something?
And that's where epigenetics comes in too, like how they feel, if they claim it, then that's going to affect how they heal from it. So the mind is such a powerful thing. If you're going to say, I am sick, I have cancer, I'm going to die in 3 months, you put that in your cells, those sayings in your cells, and that's what happens. You can't come back from that.
So say somebody has been given a prognosis. How would you approach helping them think about that in another way?
You kind of got to meet them where they are. Like you let them talk. Letting people talk, you learn so much about them. You know, a lot of times, like with allopathic medicine, you go to the doctor and they're like, you got 7 minutes. Tell me what's wrong. You got a stomach ache? Okay, this is what we're going to do. Yeah. When somebody comes and sees me, it's an hour and a half. And my first thing I say to them, I'll say, okay, tell me your story. And I sit there just like I do right now. Like, I've hardly said a word this whole time we've been together. And I just sit and I listen. And that's what they want. That's what most people want, is just somebody to listen. And then when they're done talking, then I say, okay, this is what we're going to do. You're going to start doing affirmations. I am healthy. I am 100% healthy. I am loved. I love myself. We're going to start with affirmations. We're going to start with doing emotional healing. We're going to work on all of these things so that you can heal your mind, body, and your soul. And then when that healing starts to happen, when their mind starts to change, when their neurons start to get rewired into a different way of thinking, that's where the beautiful healing takes place. Starting off with just listening.
Yeah, you are a master at holding space. It is incredible.
Thank you.
You probably, like you're saying, you meet people where they're at. So you probably take it in steps that are not overwhelming and what they're able to do in that moment.
Yes, exactly. Because if you bring on a lot of information all at once, they're going to get overwhelmed. They're going to maybe do it for 24 hours and they're going to say, you know what, I can't do this. This is too much. And they go back to their old habits. You got to do baby steps, little things at a time. Okay, you know what, we're going to do this. And then I'm going to see you back in a month. And then we'll take the next step. You can't overwhelm them or they give up because it's hard. It's hard to change.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and you can get discouraged if it's like, I can't even do this. But if you can achieve a smaller step, it's like, oh, okay, I might be able to do something. That's cool.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
Take pride in it, right? I've accomplished something.
Yes.
And even that something is little, but I mean, the end goal is to change your entire or rewire your entire brain of the way that you look at life and think, right? I mean, it's no easy task for anyone. But if you're already in the mindset of, you know, I'm about to die or I'm really sick, right? Because these are the diagnoses that were given to me. You're absolutely right. Baby steps.
Yeah.
I got a message that said when we were talking earlier that removing the programming allows you to be free to heal. It's the same thing you learn, like I learned in nursing school. If your body has an environment where it can heal, it will heal. So if you remove that programming that creates that negative environment in your body, your thoughts, your mind, then you can be free. You can be free of that so that your body can do what it was supposed to do. Stop telling it what you think and let it be free. Let your body be free to heal itself.
Let's promote the health that it wants to have.
So how do you remove programming? I assume that you first, if somebody asked, well, you would first need to identify what's programming. So there has to be some sort of self-awareness or conscious awareness of that. I think most of us have programming and we're on the journey of realizing that and clearing that. The more programming I clear, then I identify something else, right?
Yes. It's like an onion. It's these layers coming off. You clear one thing and up pops another one.
So I recently did father wound clearing, karmic clearing. That was going to be the biggest hurdle of my life, basically. I've had issues with it all my life, right? And so I'm like, oh, happily done with it. Nope, gotta work on your mother wound now. I'm like, what? I love my mom. I never thought I would have any issues with it. I'm like, oh, I was just done with this. I was so happy. And it just takes it to another, as in, you know, you solve one issue, another two pop up, you try to solve these, and then three more pop up. Peeling that onion.
And when you're the mother who realizes, oh my goodness, I made so many mistakes. You're not the greatest mother you thought you were. It's like, wow, that's something else. That's a hard one, you know. It's hard to take. Yeah.
I'm not a mother of humans, but I am of animals. But I think that, I don't want to say but I've heard a lot of mothers share that sentiment. And we do the best we can with the tools we have. I have a lot of compassion for that because, and so you might be at this point where you are breaking that generational trauma. And so we can start to see our own parents and anybody else in our blood or love line as needing healing too, and with a compassionate perspective. And it's not always easy, but really everybody has that child within and needs that healing. And that, like you were talking, Robyn, seeing if you can step back and see the programming with somebody. And I find if I'm in a more self-aware moment and I can do that, not reacting in a triggered way can almost, in my opinion, help holds more of a healing space for somebody else also to begin that journey.
Because we were all there. When you can identify, to me, that's the key. It's like, wow, I see the programming. Oh, I'm so happy I see the programming because I'm not attaching it to the person. I can detach the behavior from the person. Right?
Well, it's almost like once you remove the programming, you see the truth.
Yes, that's you. There you go.
There you go.
Which is exactly a nice circle right to where you started with your children.
Right. There's the veil.
It covers up all the truth.
Yeah. But is part of when that veil lifts is we're lifting our own veils, our own programming. If you're sane, but the system is insane, it's almost like a collective gaslighting where it can make you feel like you're crazy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. That's what's happening right now.
They call us crazy.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's really funny, but in the movie Soul, they do talk about the veil. Like they actually show the veil. And he sort of jumps through the veil. And it's like, it had a bit of spring to it, but he popped his way through the veil, from the spirit world into, so there is. And I've heard, I don't know from who or where, but you are closest to the veil where water meets the land. I mean, so go to the beach area. This is what I'm told to do with Gabriel. He will be there at the water's edge for me when I'm healing. You're the closest to the veil where water meets the land. I've heard that like 5 or 6 years ago. Right. And now it's coming back to me in this journey I'm on with Archangel Gabriel.
Wow.
I wonder why I love the beach.
Yes.
I'm wondering if maybe it's because two elements, meet.
Yeah. Like,
so could it be two elements meet? Like I'm sitting out and by a bonfire outside and I'm adding 3 to it,
Well, I was thinking of a mountaintop because I often feel that when I'm atop the mountain.
Me.
Land, earth, and air.
And air.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
There's something about mountains.
Every one of those places you guys mentioned, I have had magical experiences.
Yes, me too.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
So that would make total sense to me.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that, Robyn, because it's like all these things are coming to my mind.
Yeah.
And
I've never heard of that before.
Me either.
But when you think about it, I guess when you go out on sort of this mission, right, to relax, you sort of drop your own veil, maybe, if you will, slightly, right? And so you're more open to another dimension, if you will. Right.
You're
so that's
open.
why you're more open to it.
That's
because
key.
You're not normally, you're not like, I have to go pick up my son and I have to go do, this and this and that and that, right? You're not doing that. Maybe you're going camping with your family and you got the bonfire and there's a lake and there's a mountain or whatever, right?
And you got the trees.
You're more open, right? And so you're grounding.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say that. You're more grounded. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And the more
earth elements,
the higher you can go.
Mm-hmm.
And people, I was grounding with the tree, my favorite tree, and it's in the forest close to me here. I call it MT, like my tree. But I remember going down, and like just recently, after I removed the fear of the allergies in the air, I went down and I could feel like an energetic hug from the tree as I was 20 feet away as I approached, because I would only visit in the winter. So I would never be down there in the middle of the summer. And I got this like big greeting, like, wow. And it's like, oh, and he has a branch. I don't know, I guess I associate it with a masculine, but he has a branch that I just lean into, and the arch of my back fits, like the tree buckles out a bit and it fits in the arch of my back, and that's where I do all my grounding.
Wow.
So that's...
Well, and trees have auras, and so it's like, are your auras
you're mating.
harmony, or, yeah. That's so cool. Imagine a world where children from a young age are taught to meditate.
Yeah.
Or ground, you know, or both.
Yeah.
Right, ground.
And to play outside.
Didn't you send a picture, Eva, like a while ago of about a year ago that all these kids, like 1,000 or I don't know how many kids there were, that were all meditating for the world peace, right? I mean, you see a sea of these children meditating.
Oh, yeah.
It was a news story. I think it was Thailand. I think 1 million children meditating. And it happened the exact day a year prior, but it happened the same day that the Queen passed away. A year prior, the exact day. 1 million children meditating.
Oh.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, that's a whole other rabbit.
It took a whole other rabbit for that meditation to come down to 3D. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we need more than 1 million of us to manifest something huge.
5 billion.
Yeah, I get.
Wow.
We're all holding back from going down another rabbit hole. So anyway.
Yeah.
All I can say is I'm so grateful that I stuck it this long to witness what's happening on the earth now. And to feel, like, to connect.
Robyn,
you were meant to be here.
I know, but
golden years, Robyn. Enjoy it. You earned it. You fought.
They're about to become more golden.
Don't you ever think that, I barely made it scraping through. No.
I'm just so happy. No, I said I'm so happy to be here.
You were
Yeah.
I love the magic. So here we go.
Divinely orchestrated. Wow, that's the thing. Like when you're going through it, you don't always, you don't have the bigger picture usually. And so, but when you can look back and you're like, wow, that was divinely orchestrated.
Oh my God,
yourself. I keep adding this to you guys. By yourself. Who orchestrated? I mean, God, yes, but through you, so you did it to yourself. Give yourself a little credit here.
I know. You really do have to look from a higher perspective. You really do. Because from my human perspective, I'm like, no way. No way.
Right.
Why would I do this? But yes, really do have to look at a higher perspective, step out of, that 3D mind, and then it's more accessible.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's true. Hindsight really is 2020 though.
And you're lucky you're so young, Ava.
I don't know.
I wish I was at that point when I was your age.
Well, it's all divine timing, right? I mean,
totally.
Yeah.
Bring on the med beds.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I had a lot more information at my fingertips growing up. So I had more access to these other tools. Did I always use that? No, not really. But, and I also it was like I had quite the experience when I was in my childhood and teens. And it was like, I feel like I lost a decade of my life because I went into, I don't even know, like a hibernation. And so it really, because I often think, gosh, like I wish this happened 10 years ago, but all of these things are just unfolding in a way that doesn't always clearly make sense until hindsight, like we're talking about.
There was a point in time in my life where I had so many things happen at once, like I had cancer, and then, my brother was having issues, and then he died, and then my mom died, and my dad died. It was like all within this time span where by the time my dad passed away, I just pled with the universe, God, I'm like, whoever was listening, I can't handle any more trauma. Like I can't. It has to end now. I can't do this anymore. It has to stop. I really was like pushed over the edge almost. So I was like, it has to stop. And I feel like I don't know, you get to that point where you just ask for it to stop, and then you're like, I'm done with this, and my life is going to be good from here on out. And I don't know, there was something there that after that happened, it was a little bit of time, but then eventually things started becoming better and better and better. So I don't know if my pleading helped or if I set it up that way. Probably both. I don't know. But yeah, I forgot the reason why I was telling that story. We were saying something and it triggered me to say that. But
I just had a vision of while you were saying that is being brought to your knees. Yes. And as you're on your knees, you're seeing another perspective, and it's almost like you're able to see a little bit more of the footwork of the foundation. And I mean, I don't fully know either, but oftentimes in general, we get to a point where it's like enough is enough, or you really something pushes you and you find your power. You find it.
Yeah.
I got chills when we were talking. Yeah. So it's not always it's not an easy, fluffy, process. But would you speak with so much conviction and empowerment had you not gone through that, right?
No, I would be asleep my whole life. Like, no. Right.
I mean,
what I discovered about
right.
What you discover about yourself, it's like, wow.
It's kind of like hitting the rock bottom, right? Yeah. The only way out of it is up.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
It's like people that you see, maybe somebody has an addiction and you want to help them so badly. You just they're playing Russian roulette with their life. Mm-hmm. But it's really when they get to that point where they're sadly, I don't think you have to hit rock bottom, but that's generally how it happens. And enough of the muck is stirred up where it's like, if I don't make a drastic change right now, there's no way through this. I can't suffer through this anymore. And so yeah, I forget also why I was saying that, but
I think it's defining that moment in your life when when you, like you guys were saying, on your knees, it's like, enough. I remember a couple of moments in my own life where I physically out loud had to say enough to no one because no one was listening. Enough of this treatment of me, or is it by, if it's by myself, I'm giving myself that treatment, or somebody else giving me that treatment. Like, enough.
Right.
And then somehow you find your fighting boots and put them on.
Yeah.
You find your power, your power.
It's your power.
You can't make somebody heal. And you, as much as you love them, you can't.
The healing journey it's an inner journey. You might be able to help somebody with certain things, but until they decide they're going to heal themselves and face themselves, then you can't help at all. I tried. It was just draining me. It's like, okay, they got to figure this out on their own. And you really
just got to wait it out until they're ready.
Yeah, because you're sacrificing. It's too difficult.
Your energy.
Your energy, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So,
wow.
Yeah. So if everybody can find their own self-love and the truth, and to get there is the truth, when the truth does come to the earth, then there will be a massive healing.
Yes.
You'll have to be there to help these people through that,
Yeah.
You start seeing how others, like you suggest, are acting through their programming, and also how you might be acting through programming.
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of.
True.
Totally. It makes it easier for me. That's how I got through it. I was like, it's a program. Don't get triggered. Let me just stop here. It's all about love. So,
thank you for joining us today.
Let us know your thoughts, questions, and requests.
If this content resonates, please like, share, and subscribe.
Hit the notification bell to be notified when we drop a new episode.
See you in another dimension.